to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited about this week's guest. She is an experienced podcast host herself, and so I always get lots of great tips, among other things, from them. So I'm just going to jump right in. Heather Stewart is a dynamic force in the wellness world. She seamlessly marries her background in corporate finance with her fervent dedication to holistic health to help guide transformative coaching experiences for her clients. She found her own escape from the societal expectations of a career at the expense of health and vitality, and now helps other midlife women do the same thing. Using her Thriving Life method, I'm losing my place. Using her Thriving Life method framework, she helps overwhelmed overachievers connect to their inner purpose so they can intentionally create a new roadmap to the life they were meant to live. She is also the host of the Back to Me podcast. Please welcome Heather Stewart to Deals with Heels. Welcome.
Yay, cheering in the background.
I know, I made it through the introduction. I'm so excited to have you on the show, and I love your podcast. And it really follows. I'm somebody that came from corporate America, and I can go deep into my reserve tank and not realize I'm there. My friends don't realize that I'm there. And so really making sure I plan to take care of myself has been almost a struggle for me. So I'm so excited to talk to you about your roadmap and how all of that works. But before we get into all of that good stuff, tell us a little bit about how you got there, because you did some escaping from corporate life as well, so to speak.
Did some major escaping. And it's funny, I'm sure you've heard the term golden handcuffs, because they made up that thing for a reason, because it is so hard to know how to get out of it. Like, I did all the things you were supposed to do. You know, I got my university degree. I was a CPA. So
You worked hard for that then.
I
And
worked hard
studied
for
hard
that.
for your test and
Yeah.
had to get good grades. The
It,
CPA is one of those degrees that, there's expectations for, you need to know it.
you got a tough slog to get through it. I mean, I think at that time here, so I'm up in Canada, you were allowed to write the final exam, the one that actually gave you can be a CPA now. You were only allowed to write it 3 or 4 times. And then it was just like, sorry. So there's a lot of stress. It's not like you get endless do-overs. I did pass it the first time, but I had the career. I was a senior director. Had the company car. I had stock options. I had the house in the suburbs. I had the big salary and the big job. And one of my jobs was balancing the budgets I was the senior director of Ontario, so the province. And all the little divisions would send, they're not little, the little divisions would send me their budgets. Head office would say, we want this much money. The divisions would say, we'll give you this much money. And then I was in the middle. And one day I was listening to the radio on behind me, and the man who owned the company, like, this company is in the billions, it said how much money he was worth. And I went, what? I was trying to find $1 million in this budget. I'm moving numbers around because head office wants another $1 million. I'm like, he doesn't need $1 million. He
Right?
doesn't need another $1 million. And it was just kind of like one of those, my goodness, what am I doing with my life? Is this really what I came here to do? Is this really aligned with what I feel like makes me excited? Like, I wasn't excited in this job. Shortly after this, I was on a project this was when I finally pulled the student. So in between there, a VP had gotten me a free pass to his yoga studio. This VP I was friends with, he said, have you ever tried yoga? I said, I think that's good for stress release, right? That sounds like a good thing for stress. So I was going to yoga. I was going to be the best yogi ever, by the way. I was going to yoga a lot because I am an overachiever. I fully admit it. And one day I'm rushing to yoga class. I'll get to the last part in a second. One day I was rushing to yoga class in my car. I got to get to yoga. And this was the second thing that was my wake up call. Was driving through this intersection. It's rush hour. It's super busy. It was a big intersection. And there's a woman crossing the road in front of me. And I'm honking and yelling, are you trying to get killed? And I looked up and my light was red. And I had no idea that I was driving through a red light. That's how, I was not in my I was not wherever I happened to actually be. And I didn't hit her. And the cars coming from either way didn't hit me somehow. And I got to yoga and I said I had become friends with my yoga teacher because I was there so much. And I said to my yoga teacher, this just happened. Oh my God. She's like, that's interesting. And that was all she said. And I'm like, no, I want answers. What does it mean? She didn't give me anything. And the final straw came. So those were two, it's like 3 strikes and you're out. The final straw came. I was on a project after I was working through this big budget. I was on this project to amalgamate some divisions, and the project was ending. The divisions were amalgamated, and the next step was going to be the controller. So very likely I would step into controller, get a promotion, get more money, get more whatever you get when you get a promotion. It's funny, my husband, he was very much a ladder climber. He had plans. He wanted to be a VP by 35. I had no interest. And I said to him, and I said to one of my colleagues, I don't want a promotion. I
Right.
don't want a promotion. And they had this like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't want a promotion? I said, well, yeah, sure. It gives you status and it gives you money and it gives you prestige, but the payment for it is pretty high. And that is my life because I was already working 12 hours a day at a desk. I was not healthy. I tried to be. I tried to go to the gym when I had time. I was trying to go to yoga. I tried to eat healthy, but you can't eat healthy sitting at a desk and being stressed. Even if you do, if you're stressed all the time, you're not healthy. I said, I don't want this because I don't want to trade my life for more of this. This isn't what I want. And I'm just trading my life for more of it. So I quit my job.
Big
And I
step.
got divorced pretty much all at the same time.
I have been there. I have
Right?
been there, unemployed. And
And people, like I mentioned the golden handcuffs because people think you're crazy. I had another friend who took me out to lunch right after I made this announcement, and he was fully prepared to take me down to, it's called CAMH. It's a psychiatric facility here because he thought that I had lost my mind because I was quitting my job.
without another one, right?
Without another one and with no plan. It's like, not only was I quitting my job, I was quitting my career, right? It's like, you work so hard for a career, you can't just walk away from it. Do you know what you've invested? And I'm like, yes, I do,
Honestly,
right? And I'm not getting the payback. Like when people they say, oh, I can't quit my job because I paid so much for school. I'm like, that's money, sure, but that's not the only thing you're paying. And if you keep paying ongoing, like depleted, like you were saying, especially women are really good at keeping that I'm fine. And then you're not fine because we can run on fumes till there's no fumes left and then we crash. Right. So I actually went to India for 3 months.
I love that. I love Sadhguru. I'm sure my audience is sick of me talking about Sadhguru, but
No, they'll never be sick of that.
he really changed my life just listening to the things that he talked about. And he's so no nonsense. Everybody thinks, oh, spiritual guru. He's like, and this is bullshit. Yes, yes, it is.
Yes.
Just really down to the simpleness of it is so important. So you went to India.
It was interesting because I had started right when I realized that I was shifting gears. I found probably the only yoga teacher training that took place on the weekends because I was still working for a bit. And so I was like taking this yoga teacher training on the weekends because I'm like, yoga seems really healthy and has this mind aspect that I like and helps you to figure out how to be quiet, like not to be caught in the frenzy all the time. So I had been taking yoga teacher training on the weekends, and one of the people in my class, I knew he had been to India. So I said, will you go out for coffee with me and tell me what to expect? Because this is my plan. I'm quitting my job and I'm going to just go traveling for a little while because I need headspace. I needed to be out of the city, out of the people, out of all of the regular routine, go somewhere completely different so that I had some time and space in it to like recharge myself. So we went out for coffee and I was telling him what I was going to do. And I said, yeah, I'm quitting my job. And he's like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, told him when I was going. He's like, he said, I'm taking a leave of absence from my job and I actually am going as well. And I'm like, what? So we went together. Yes. And I'll just let you know, we're having our 20th wedding anniversary this summer.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for a new partner, but the
Like
universe
mine.
delivers. But it gave me time and space to say, okay, I'm not going back into that life. I can choose whatever I want, right? Whatever it is, I'm smart. I can do whatever I want. What am I going to do? And I was really drawn to, at the time, the physical wellness because I really wanted people, because I knew that people weren't going to leave their jobs. Like that's pretty extreme for a lot of people. I wanted to help them find a way and to teach them how to not disrupt their lives, but to shift so that they could be healthier. Because when you're healthier physically, it impacts the rest of your life. And that's where I started. I just said, okay. And I was not ready to be an entrepreneur, even though as smart as I was. Yeah, there's stuff you just don't know.
Don't
Oh my
know.
goodness, right?
Yes. Yes. But what a great trip to India and to help you find your way and to not to be able to go with somebody that is also curious and learning and all of the things. One of the things that I think is hard for people is, and Sadhguru says it, he would say, you're listening to this person and they tell you to think this way, use these kinds of thoughts. And then this person here, and they tell you to think this way and to do this. And what I am telling you to shut up, shut the hell up, just shut up and don't talk and be quiet and spend time alone. And it's so difficult for people to be able to do that because we're so crammed full of everything all of the time.
Well, also, people, I think, aren't comfortable with it, right? If you think about even when people are home alone, they'll turn on a radio or a TV. They need the noise because we become so accustomed to noise that quiet is somehow unnerving.
Right?
And like I'll ride the transit system. Do you think people just sit there quietly? No, they have headphones on. They're on their phones now. Like nobody is just, so I'll just sit there with no headphones on and my phone in my pocket looking around. So I probably look
Listening
like
and
a crazy person.
we are so I'm in marketing and boy, the ads and all of you can't even say someone needs to see your ad this many times because boy, back then they were really seeing it. We were looking at it. There was one screen in the room. Now they come at us so often. You need 15 to 18 touch points and they happen
And
quick. And
you need to stop the scroll. You need to disrupt their whatever. Like
yes, it's a
it's
whole nother
so strange.
level. And honestly, you need to plug from all of that to be able to even know what you need to feel better. But you'll find out if you
Right.
I always challenge people just 5 minutes. Set by yourself 5 minutes with no screens, no music, nothing, just by
I
yourself.
try to, for my clients, especially my overwhelmed clients who can't even figure out, I mean, that's a lot of them actually, who don't even know where to start. Sometimes if like I've been meditating for probably 25 years now, which really helps you know when it's your voice and someone else's, right?
Yeah, so I've been about 15 or so
Right.
years and
But
you will
if you
find your way.
suggest sometimes to someone, oh, try meditation, I can't do that because it's so foreign sitting still. So instead, I tell people just sit and daydream for 5 minutes for me because that sounds like there's no wrong way to daydream. You're not going to get it, make a mistake. It's like just sit and stare out the window for 5 minutes and do nothing. And they'll go, oh, I can do
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah. It's the same guy. It's like I was at a Mardi Gras party recently. Someone said, "Oh, well, I can't meditate. I've tried." I said, "Well, you probably were. There are no expectations." And when I very first started meditating, I wanted to try an app. I had been using this CD and I wanted to try this app, but I wasn't sure what one. And I read a bunch of different reviews and I ended up on this app and it was there was like a bunch of India spiritual guides on there. And this one, I still hear him if I'm meditating and my thoughts are just racing. And he would say, and if the thoughts come, let them come. And that was just so like the perfect thing to say because they're coming. Just let them come. Don't try to, it's not think of nothing. It's let it come and go. And
it's impossible for humans to think of nothing, right? We aren't wired like that. But what we can do I say, just don't go on the parade.
Yes.
You just watch it. It's like you're listening to the inside of your head, like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. You don't have to you don't have to get on the float. Just let
And
it go.
eventually on a
Yes.
thing.
And there's no mistakes either with meditation. Like sometimes people say, well, I have to sit like this. No, you don't. I have to do this. No, you don't. I'm not allowed to open my eyes. I have a notebook next to me in case a thought comes in and I need to write it down so I can let it go. It's like, you can do whatever you want. Just be quiet.
Right.
Right?
Just there's no rules. Do the thing. Some people like my son started, he would have a candle and the space between the flame and the wick. He would look at that. But I had a friend, she liked to look at like the little water fountain. She was like stared at things to meditate, which seems foreign to me. I don't do that, but
It's,
whatever you're comfortable with,
yeah,
right?
Shaman Durek uses that. He's got a book called Spirit Hacking. So Shaman Durek, he uses that to like focus your will is by focused eyeballs.
Well, like, I mean, it makes sense. And I love
I don't
to,
do it either, but
yeah, the staring thing, I would get, I think maybe I'm too visual of a person, maybe or something. But I did have a nice experience. My paternal grandmother came through in a meditation for me, and she's not someone that I would normally ever connect with. But I've been doing this a very Kabbalistic way of thinking, but of incorporating, and
that's awesome.
I just immediately was meditating into it. And so it was really nice and it was visually stimulated because I looked at that box. I wasn't really even meditating, but it was such a nice experience and something I hadn't done visually before. So even if you haven't meditated that way, sometimes trying something new can open, I think, new areas
Oh,
where
definitely, right?
of connection. So you talk about the Akasha records, right?
Akashic, yeah.
Akasha. Yeah, I'm probably not saying that right.
I'm probably not either.
What tell the audience what those are, what
Hmm.
that is, and how you became connected with it.
So the Akashic records, it's a Sanskrit word. And if you understand, everything is energy. So quantum physics has proven like we're just a dense form of energy. We're energy, 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 energy. And that energy can't be destroyed. So before you came, you were energy too. Now you've just coalesced into this form. Well, most of you, because I feel like we're too much to be contained in one little body. So you're energetic self is still kind of in the energy sphere. And the energetic record of everything you have ever been or done, everything you are currently, all possibilities, because everything exists all at once, and anything that could happen all exists in the energetic realm, in the energetic records. And to help humans figure it out, it's like there's a library that is just you. Like this is your energetic record of everything, everywhere, and all at once, something like that. And there's these energetic beings whose sole job is to take care of your records. And so I met this woman. She calls herself the Akashic Nomad because she and her husband only live a few months at a time in one space and they move around. I can't remember. I think she was in Portland when I met her. And then she was up in Michigan and then she was down. I actually went to meet her in person in Florida. Right now she's in Texas. And that's her business. She reads records for people. And I thought, that's super interesting. And when I find something super interesting, I want to learn how to do it. So I had joined one of her classes where she teaches you to read your own records. So there's a prayer, you connect in, there's meditation, and you ask questions of your personal record keepers. And it sounds kind of like psychic, but it's not, because they have their own personality and they will only tell you if it will help you. If it won't help you, they won't tell you. I asked them a question this morning and they just said, yeah, never mind. We're not telling you. So
It's not
you
the
don't
right
need to know
time
that.
for that, right?
It's not the right time for that.
Right.
And I said, well, that's super cool. I would be super interested in learning how to help other people by reading their records for them. And she said, well, I don't have a class for that, but I'll mentor you one-on-one. So she mentored me one-on-one to read other people's records. And I still meet her regularly. And she's got a group she calls the High Vibe Soul Tribe. And we hang out together and have great conversations about energy and things. So I don't do it with all of my clients because not everybody is in that headspace, right?
Right. Some people have
Yeah.
others. I wondered but how helpful for your thriving life roadmap for you to
Right.
be able to see it, even if they can't.
Right. And I don't need to, like, I need permission to go specifically into someone's records, but I can go into mine and just say, what can I know is the best way to help this person? Or what can I know that would help this person? And they're not going to say, tell them to go and invest in real estate or anything like that.
Right.
But what I find funny, because my record keepers are quite comedians. Not everybody's are. Like some of them are quite serious. Mine are comedians, and they sound like Yoda a lot of the time. So sometimes they'll give you an answer. You're like, what does that mean? But
It's never
eventually,
going to
when
be
you go back,
simple, right?
yeah, when you go back later, you're like, I get it. Okay, I get it.
That's fantastic. Thanks for delving into that. I am really big into spirituality, and it's not often that we get to have someone as a guest that also has a very good coaching business for female entrepreneurs too. And I think it's amazing. I love a spiritual business too. I'm always so
Right.
curious in how they built their business and all of those things as well. But I definitely want to end with you talking about your roadmap and how it works. And so that my listeners will know, and they'll know how you do all of the things that you do.
Right. It's so funny. I used to introduce myself. I used to go to these online network meetings to say, I combine my two superpowers because I have that logical accountant brain, but I still teach yoga 20 years later, yoga teacher, tarot card reader, Akashic records. So I'm like, I can walk in both worlds. And I feel like I'm the bridge. Well, in 2021, when I came back from India, I opened my own yoga studio. I also became a massage therapist, which I did for 14 years, and a personal trainer and a yoga teacher. So I'm like all physical wellness. And in 2021, I had a stroke, which was kind of shocking to me because I was super healthy at the time. It wasn't due to any health aspects. I had a tear in an artery in my neck that had a blood clot, but it was during COVID. So I'm in the hospital. It's Halloween. So there's a lot of people coming in and out of the ER, and there's no beds in the hospital and no one's allowed to visit me. So I spent 3 days in the emergency room. It was very interesting to see what was going on. And because it had affected my vision, I couldn't do that thing that people do to go into their phone and avoid quiet and stillness. Thank goodness that I did have a long meditation practice that I'd been practicing, which I had said to the universe, I'm like, why am I here? What are you trying to tell me? And the message was, yes, you're helping people with their physical wellness. And I was doing some business coaching on the side because people knew my business background. I was helping the health and wellness people with their businesses because they don't understand business, right? So I had those two pieces. They're like, that's not enough. Here is your program. I was like, okay. And that's actually where my podcast came from as well, because I saw all these people who having something physically happen to them that took them to the hospital disrupted so much of their lives that they were in panic mode and not thinking straight. I'm in the hospital thinking, okay, what am I supposed to learn and how can I use this? So I felt safe and happy, even though I had a stroke, but I knew that I was going to be fine. They did it. I'm like, okay, I got to help figure out how this helps. So there's 6 components that we look at, and this is where it encompasses a whole person. So I still work a lot with physical wellness. Like I still think physical wellness is a key. That's your body. It spells the word become, by the way. The E is your emotional health. I felt happy and safe, even though I was in the hospital, and calm. If you're stressed out, if you are worrying, if you're unhappy, if you're anxious, that affects, all of these pieces affect each other, even though I've got them cut into pieces a little bit. So looking at your emotional health, what can you do to support that? Your community, which is the people around you, are they supporting you? Do they suck the life out of you? Do they try to tell you what to do? Do they respect you when you try to use your own voice? And you can't always choose your family, but you can choose who you spend time with, even if it is family. The O is your occupation, which is not tied to your money. A lot of people, especially in North America, your occupation and your money are the same thing to a lot of people, but they're not. Your occupation of what you do in the world to help people is not necessarily tied to your money. So I use my husband as the example because he still teaches yoga. He has fun teaching yoga, but he delivers food for a variety of food banks on his bicycle 4 days a week as a volunteer. That's his occupation. He takes that like a job. He schedules it in. He does the food deliveries, rain or shine, snow, whatever, but it's not tied to his money. It's a volunteer position. So your occupation should support you, make you feel valued, and feel like you're contributing. In a lot of cases, yes, you're going to have a salary or money, but it doesn't have to. The end is your money, though. You need, I think it was Michael Beckwith said, in this world, you need coin of the realm to operate on a daily basis. I liked Ram Dass said, human beings need food, shelter, and companionship. So the food and shelter, you kind of need coin of the realm. So, are you earning enough? And do you know what enough is? Some people don't. Some people just keep accumulating, stressing, and never looking to say, actually, I have enough. So doing some exercises around whatever your money tendencies are. Some people spend too much, some people don't spend enough, some people are stressed, some people, all of the things. There's entire shelves in the library, in the bookstores on money and your relationship with money. And then the final E is your engagement, which is your spirit, which is your soul, which is your purpose. I don't always use passion just because it's so overused, but what makes you happy? And it doesn't have to be tied to your occupation. It doesn't have to be tied to your money, but what really lights you up and makes your heart sing? And how do you make sure that you're incorporating that into your life? Right. Mm-hmm. So all of those 6 pieces, if one of them hits a bump in the road, like a physical illness, you want the other 6 to be able to support it, to be able to say, it's okay, you can recover while we've got you with the rest of us. If you hit a financial dip, is the rest of you going to be, are you emotionally okay that you're not going to freak out? And you're like, I'm okay, I got this, it's just a blip. If you lose your job, is it so intrinsically tied to your money that it drags them both down? Are the other pieces going to support you? So we go through exercises and a lot of thought processes to get those things so they support you fully and you feel just happy and joyful on a regular basis. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
And the loss of one of them doesn't send you completely over the edge.
Exactly.
I love how it starts with something physical, because for myself, when I ended up all the way at the bottom, all my 5 kids were grown, my marriage had fallen apart, I didn't have a job, and then my mother died. And I was just completely lost, and I actually felt frail. I was an athlete, and so
Right.
and how I was taking care of it, and the food I was eating. I was bringing home fast food and sitting on my bed and eating it and watching TV until I got ready for bed. And then I got back in the same bed. And so those non-negotiables involve: 1, I'm not going to eat fast food. I'm Gen X. I learned how to cook standing on a chair to reach the stove. Bacon and eggs, folks. It wasn't like they started us with something small.
No. I made soda bread, Irish soda bread all the time.
Right? So that was it. And I'm never going to eat in my room again. And, my house, I've got a nice open floor plan and I can do dishes with the TV. It's not just about what your physical space is, but how are you using it? How are you emotionally incorporating it in? It was such a big deal to feel back to myself. I'd lost significant amount of weight. I was a good 20 pounds lighter than I am today, a little bit more than that. And it took a little bit of time, but once I started back on that physical feeling like myself again physically, that went such a long way to changing my mindset.
Well, and
Because I felt
if you think about it,
well again.
your space, like everything is a reflection of you. Your inner world is reflected in your outer world. So if you aren't taking care of, if you look around and go, what's going on here? You're like, that's a reflection of what's going on inside of you. And sometimes I have to really push people and say, what? Like, you need to love yourself enough to not to like take care of you. So what can happen when marriages break up, especially long-term ones, is your identity is so tied in another person and that's where your love has been coming from. You're like, oh, now what? I've got nothing. I'm like, your love is inside of you.
Yeah. The
Go
magic was coming from you the whole time. All that magic everywhere was coming
love
from
yourself. Take care of all of the parts of you because you don't need anything else, right? Having companionship. Yeah, I love having companionship, but your main source should be coming from you, right?
100%. That is so true. And like all great conversations, our time has come to an end already. Mind blown, right?
I know.
So Tell our listeners how they can learn more about participating with your Thriving Life roadmap. I may not be saying it quite
It's all
right,
good.
but how they can see it and participate in it.
So everything is in the same place, which makes it so easy. And we were talking earlier, my name is easy, heatherstewart.coach. You can find my socials. You can find links to the roadmap. There is a Thriving Life Method roadmap. And I just launched a new membership hub, which I'm going to house all the alls inside this membership hub. So it's an easy place for people to get resources, because I have tons of free resources, right? I mean, go use them, please.
I love that. And I'm sure you can find her podcast.
Oh, yes. Back to me.
Back to Me, right? I hate it when I butcher the name of something actually, but Back to Me podcast is available on all platforms. I'm sure you can link to it from her website, but I will link to her website and her podcast in the show notes, where you can also find links to my website for my advertising agency, Hexagon Media, and of course to all the Deals with Heal stuff and my free ebook you can download and find that link. Also, 5 steps to having a mindset for success. And my first step, I'm not a psychologist, but those are the actual 5 steps I personally took to change my life, that started with physical non-negotiables. You gotta be able to hold your blessings. One of the things I tell my coaching clients is, what if lose all their money and get arrested and get into addiction and all of the things? So please, thank you so much, Heather, for showing up and giving us all of your wonderful wisdom. Your roadmap is fantastic, and I hope everyone will go to her website and check it out, because what a great way to line everything out. And I love your meditation journey, so much to offer. So please check out Heather's website and her podcast, Back to Me. And for that, until next week, we're out, everybody.